Hello everybody, welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone. Fantastic to have you along with me once again. It's a long time since my last video. I seem to be always apologising at the beginning for that, but as you know, things have become pretty tricky in the financial world, and we've had to do what we need to do in order to make ends meet and keep things ticking along, and that's just applying to me as well as everybody else, I'm sure. But this video is going to be very specifically aimed at a group of people that I would really like to commend. I partook in this as well, but this video is specifically for you, and I'm hoping I'll get clearance from Cash is King on Facebook to be able to share this video with the community on there. It'll be fantastic if I can. But what I'd really like to talk about is the Cash Out Tuesday. So on the 2nd of April, a group of goodness knows how many, because there was a Facebook group of approaching 200,000 members. I think at last count, it was getting up towards that. But there was probably a lot of people that weren't necessarily in that group that may have very well partaken in the movement as well. But for anyone who's not aware, on the 2nd of April this year, a very large group of smart people converged on ATMs, bank outlets, straight to the counter, even cash out options at supermarkets and all those sorts of places, and withdrew cash all on the same day. Now, there was a number of stories. It certainly made headlines around Australia, so I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard about it. But the banks did come out for a little while there and say that it barely made a dent in, and they had some time to prepare for it and whatever else they want to say. I want to encourage everyone that did partake in this movement. You got their attention. They've come out and they've said what they've said, but you got their attention. They are aware of what you did. Otherwise, they wouldn't say anything. There'd be no need to. They'd ignore you. They didn't ignore you. They had to address what happened. Of course, they've downplayed it. And to a degree, I think that that's a little bit antagonizing. Now, I partook in the movement. I thought that it was a fantastic idea, and I made sure that I did what I could do on the Tuesday there on the 2nd. I saw many posts on Cash is King Facebook page of people flashing their cash. I'm of two minds. I thought it was fantastic that people were doing that, and I think it was encouraging that it was being shown there to a degree. At the same time, I don't know, it maybe opens people up to issues down the road. However, I will say that anyone who's been watching this channel and anyone who comes to watch a lot of my videos, in the back catalogue, in my various playlists, especially the Real Money playlist, you'll see that I show the metals that I have, and we'll get to that in a short moment. But it's the same thing, and that's why I say I'm of two minds. If you show and flash your cash, you're opening yourself up to a bit of a risk there, and I do that as well. The reason that I show my medals is to be of encouragement. I do believe that I am protected, and so I do trust that I'll be okay. But I do know that I open myself up to some risks by showing what I've got. Now, I don't show all of what I've got, but I show it because I want to encourage people and say, look, I'm not just, shooting from the hip here. I'm talking about a long serving play that I've been, involved in for well over a decade. It's got to be a decade and a half or more. Going on, gosh, yeah, a decade and a bit. But it's important that we do, to a degree, show that we are participating in something to give some encouragement to others that are on the fence. And that's what this video is partially about, but it's also to address some questions that came up in a lot of posts and comments and that on the second and subsequent days throughout this last week. Being tomorrow is going to mark 1 week since the movement, everyone did what they did. But there's been a lot of comments about what next, because it's fantastic to get some attention. It's fantastic to draw together for a common goal and to do something. But a lot of questions came up about, well, what now? We've withdrawn all of this cash. Now what do we do with that? I mean, we're going to spend it at shops that only accept cash. And I think that's a good idea because it keeps the cash flow moving, and it recognises those people that are smart enough to still accept cash at their premises. So, that's one thing. But of course, when a lot of this cash, if we're just withdrawing cash that is money we would otherwise spend somewhere for groceries or some other service, of course, it's just gone back into the system. And so it gets their attention about the fact that we still want to have cash available to us. But the banks are aware that most likely, the majority of that will get back into the system somewhere. Someone might have withdrawn from the Commonwealth Bank, from their bank account, and then over a period of time they spend it in businesses that CommBank, NAB, ANZ, Westpac, they're the big four. Excuse me. The cash just comes in and it evens itself out over time. And it's a fair question. So it's one thing to draw a lot of cash out all at once and say, look, we still want cash. And it got their attention. But if it just goes back into the system as they expect it will, then you've got their attention, but you haven't shown power. I mean, you've shown collective power, you haven't shown long-term power. The next questions were something like, well, it really should be a sustained process. Each, maybe one particular day of every single week. So let's make it Tuesday every week. Well, it might not work like that because a lot of people get paid Wednesdays and Thursdays. But anyway, pick a day in the week and every single week on that day, withdraw the maximum amount of cash that you can afford to withdraw. Again, I think that's good, and it shows that we want cash. That reveals the fact that we do still want cash. And I was going to also talk about Armaguard. I'm sure you've probably already heard about Armaguard, which is the biggest cash shifting business model here in Australia, Armaguard. And they're talking about potentially going under, and then there needs to be some sort of basically all of that is they're trying to push this narrative that cash is too expensive to deal with. That's what they're trying to do. And all of you who are a part of this movement, you recognize that cash being withdrawn from the system is the ultimate goal. That's what they want to do. They want to make everything digital. I'm preaching to the choir if I tell you all of the problems that go with that. So I'm not going to worry about it. You're already aware of it. Of course, electricity goes down, phone connections go down, and boom, you've got huge problems. Cash, avoids all of that. But the Armaguard and the the supermarkets, for example, limiting how much you can take out in a cash out in your transaction if you use your card on your debit card. They're always reducing how much you can take out at any one time. All of these things are moving in the same direction. The Armour Guard story, look, I believe that it's just a setup just to be a part of the narrative and all that sort of thing. That I would like to think that they're probably being, supported behind the scenes, saying, look, if you do this, we'll make sure everything's all right. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. So what I want to really talk about, though, is what next? Okay, I think that's a really, really good question. What comes next? And you've got the bank's attention. You can coordinate, you've already shown it, you can coordinate a huge cash withdrawal on a given day. Then you could probably move to a weekly thing. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, whatever day it was that everyone decided, hey, look, this is the best day to do it. And you coordinate it. Boom, 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 maximum you can take out. But here's the thing to get their attention fully. Because, as I said, you can take it out. They recognize that you're able to take it out. You're able to coordinate. But they are aware that it'll come back. They're counting on the fact that it'll come back into the system. What if the cash that's withdrawn, and doesn't necessarily have to be cash that's withdrawn, some of it can be cash, some of it might be a digital transfer for this to do what I'm about to tell you. Doesn't really matter. As long as there's a cash component and there's a larger savings kind of component and you're withdrawing it. Okay, we're all aware that cash in hand is losing value the fastest. Cash that's numbers on a screen in a bank account, that's still going backwards because the interest you get paid is less than real inflation. Well and truly less than real inflation. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Cash in both forms going backwards. But it's good to have cash in hand. It's also good to have some sort of cash flow in your bank account. But what if there was a way to really get a bank's attention? Because if you take out your savings and hold it in a different form that's not numbers on their screen, they've got to figure out how to cover the fact that you did that. And if enough people do it, you really got their attention. Okay. And this brings me to real money. We've been talking about cash. Cash is king. Now, I agree to a point. But there's the King of Kings. Okay. And I'm not talking about the King of Kings in this instance. He's the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. But the King of Kings in the financial world, it's this. All right. It's going to focus for me. Maybe not. It's not going to focus. Sorry about that. Anyway, gold. Okay. Gold is real money. That's the King of Kings. Now, cash might be a king. Cash might be king to many respects. But the King of Kings, financially, gold. All right. Precious metals are real money. Okay. That is the important thing that we need to be talking about here. And it's the answer to the question that is being asked by many, many, many people on the Cash is King Facebook page, in the comments section, in posts and all of that. What comes next? The answer is hold your savings in physical gold or physical silver. Okay? Physical silver. Right? This is how you get their attention. Because if you take out your cash or do your transfers from the savings portion of your funds, and you are constantly withdrawing it and putting it into real money, okay? That was a 10 ounce. This is a 5 ounce, okay? Even as small as a 1 ounce, okay? These are, and look, so that's gold and silver, and platinum. Platinum less so, I guess, but platinum as well. Okay. Now these are real money. This is cash from, digital numbers. Mostly these have been digital transactions. And after 5 years, that information disappears. And you hold it, you still got it in your hands, but it disappears, right? It's traced for 5 years. That's how long the data needs to be kept for. So you want to talk about coming together in a movement that really got their attention. That's fantastic. The next step is savings in physical assets. And who's got the cash to be able to go and buy another property or something like that in this market that's going up? But anyone who was buying, let's say for example, anyone who was buying gold, silver and platinum 10 years ago and keeping their savings in that, over that time, the gold, the silver, the platinum has gone up, keeping your financial, your purchasing power intact, while any cash you had in the bank was only going up by a lower percentage than real inflation. So you could now sell, in theory, you could sell a lot of your gold, your silver and that you'd been saving up over those years, and you could be selling it now and be far more financially, it'd be far more financially viable to go and buy a property. Because sure, property's gone up, and so, but the same amount of ounces of gold and silver and everything like that would have bought a house back, 10 years ago, is going to buy a house now, give or take a little bit. But the cash in your bank account, if you've just held it in there, no way. And the other gamble would have been if you had have invested it and trusted some financial advisor, which I don't trust anymore. They're part of the system. Sorry to any financial advisors out there, but most of you don't have a clue. So the point I'm making is, if you are holding real money and continue to hold real money now, at any given time later on, within reason, there are ebbs and flows with the gold price. At the moment, it's skyrocketing. You're going to be able to buy what you could have bought 10 years ago right now for the same number of ounces of gold. But you couldn't buy the same amount of gold now with the same amount of cash as you did last time, way back. That's the point. And at the same time, by holding these physical assets in the smaller form, like gold, silver, platinum, you are effectively holding your savings in a form that it's got nothing to do with the banking system. That's your advantage. But if more people start to do this, you've got, I firmly believe that gold's nowhere near the price that it should be, and silver even more so, and platinum, yeah. Look, at one stage, platinum was worth more than gold. It's rarer than gold. So these things are important to remember, okay? These things are super, super important to remember. If you want to get their attention, you've got it. Now, stick the boot in, okay? Step on it. Tell them, 1, I want access to cash. And 2, if you don't heed what I'm telling you and requesting from you, then I'm not going to keep as much in the computer system, in the numbers on a screen in my account. I'm going to have it somewhere where I can touch it, where I can deal with it in the way that I want to, that's not covered by fees, that actually goes up with inflation and not just the poor level of interest that you'll pay me. Tell the banks. Tell them. I'm boss. I'm a master of my financial future. I'm the master. I am my own central bank. Right? That's what you want to be telling people. Okay? Because I'll tell you something. I've got to stick a glove on here because I'm a stickler for holding my precious metals. If they don't have capsules, you need a glove. But you need to understand, gold, silver, platinum, real money is your weapon. Okay? It's your ammunition. It's your weapon against the attack that you are under. And most people don't know it. Okay? This is just a 2-ounce replica. Yeah. But anyway, most people don't know they're under attack. They don't know they're under attack financially. They are being completely stripped of their financial purchasing power. And it's by design. Now, if you're aware of that, fantastic. But I feel like there might be a lot of people who partook in this cash is king movement and took all the cash out, may not actually be aware that the next move that would really make a difference is to be holding real physical assets, real money. Okay? And that's the answer to the question, where can you put your savings? Now, this isn't financial advice. I need to say that, okay? This is what I do. This is what many other people do. All right? This is that's what we're doing. We hold some cash. We hold the physical real money. And we obviously still need to hold, we obviously do need to still hold some cash flow in bank accounts. But for a very long time, the amount that I've had in cash form, numbers on a screen with my bank, has greatly been reduced in the last 10 years. And it's by design. It's protected my purchasing power. And the bank proved, and the financial advisors through the bank proved, that they could not be trusted a very long time ago. Now, if you look at a gold graph, you can see that gold was around that $500 to $600 level, and it sort of fluctuated around there prior to 08. Since 08, it's gone up all the way up to, what, 3,500 just recently on the 5th. It hit its highest it's ever hit in US dollar terms and Australian dollar terms the 5th of April, after the cash is king withdrawal date. Okay, now just for example, I'm going to give you some example here. In 2022, when I bought this 10 ounce, it was 320. Okay. Now, I just checked, based on the price that it is now that I'd be able to get it for, it's about 480. Okay, so that's crazy increase. This one, this one, what was it, 250 or close enough to 260. This is a 5 ounce. Now, I just said that I bought this, that's now this one. Now, I bought this for 330 or 320 in 22, and now this is 260. This is half the size of this. When I bought this at the end of last year, it was $40, $41. Now it's almost $51. Now, that's not because it's gone up. Gold, silver, platinum, they're not going up in price. Our dollar and all the other world currencies are tanking in comparison to real assets. That's why you see these huge increases in price in houses. And wages don't keep up, and that's by design too. The gap between how much you get in your wages versus how much it'll cost you for any given thing, planned. It's part of the system. So, this is the question for you, okay, today. Do you want to send a real message to your bank and to the banking sector in general? Do you? Because if you do, you've got their attention. Now stick the boot in. Tell them, I'm the master of my financial future. And I will decide what I'm able to do in my future financially. And I will not just be some lackey that has my financial purchasing power stripped from me on a daily basis. I'm not going to do it. Tell them that, okay? And how do you tell them? You don't call them up and say, I'm withdrawing all of my money from my account, and then you go and put it in a different bank. That doesn't work. You become your own central bank. That works. It drives the message. But up until now, the number of people that have been doing this hasn't been that high. But if you notice, and you'll be able to go check through some of my older videos, which I really encourage you to do, go have a look at my Real Money channel, where I discuss a lot of this stuff. But you'll find that in more recent times, they've been talking about Perth Mint Gold and some complaint out of China. Or, the only types of people that deal in gold are those that are money laundering or something. And they push this idea that, if you come in and you're all tattooed up and everything, maybe you're trying to hide the money that you've got in gold and those sorts of things. They're the stories that they try to push because they try to discourage the average person. They consider you average, okay? The average person, the not so special whatever numbers on a screen type person. They don't want to encourage ownership of gold because they understand the threat that it is, even though they back by, I can't remember the percentage now off the top of my head, but they are required now, since the financial crisis, policies were put in place where banks must back their coffers with physical gold. And yet they'd love to come out and bandy out all these stories to discourage you from holding gold, silver, platinum. They want you to have the numbers on a screen because and when it is in the bank account, according to the contract that you signed to open that account, they can refuse to give you your cash, or they can refuse to give you, if things really go pear-shaped financially in the markets, which I do believe is coming very soon, they can lock your funds up. I don't know if you remember, some might be too young to remember, but in 2008, they restricted how much you could take out on any given transaction on any given day. I can't remember how much that was as well, but they restricted how much you could to prevent a run on the banks. And now they're asking 1,000,001 questions about why you need this $10,000 in cash out of your own money, out of your account. None of their business, but it's their business. They're going to, ask you. One final thing. If you're going to make it a regular thing, and let's say make it the same day, a concerted effort, the same day of every week, you take out what you can in either form, whether you take it out in cash or whether you are making a cost averaging kind of purchase into precious metals or real money. It doesn't really matter. But if you're going to do that, I suggest that you make it a regular thing. Okay. Yeah, lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm very passionate about this. And when I saw this movement just sort of rise up out of the ether, I'm like, oh my gosh, hey, hang on, this is a new thing that I hadn't heard of happening. And I don't know if it just popped up on my Facebook or who might have shared it on my friends list, whoever that was. Thank you very much, because it was a really good thing to be aware of just before it happened. I think it's fantastic. But this video is to address that hole that I saw. Gosh, this isn't being discussed, and it really does need to be. Above all, you have the wherewithal, obviously, and now you've shown some solidarity and you have the power behind you. Now it's time to really show that power. Not in an arrogant way, but in a very solid, profound way. Make the point. You are the master of your financial future, not them. And you educate yourself. Don't just follow what I'm telling you. See, this isn't financial advice, okay? This is my suggestion to you. But do your own research. Become educated. How often can we sort of look back and ask yourself, how uneducated were we when we came out of the schooling system? How financially uneducated were we, and are the generations that have come after us? They don't teach us this. Why? When you understand the why and the how and the what and the when, all these things, you'll understand why it's important to be having this conversation and doing something about it. But really, I do want to just say congratulations, everybody who was involved with this movement. You guys are the bomb. It is so good to know that there are other people out there that really want to make a point. So congratulations to everybody involved. You did a fantastic job. So let's move on to that next stage. Let's make it a regular thing where the financial withdrawals are occurring in cash form and whatever. I really, really, really encourage you to research about real money and understand its history and understand the importance moving forward. Please don't let this suggestion just pass you by. Have a look at it. I know that right now everything is going pretty crazy price-wise, but there's a reason for that. There's a number of reasons for that. But understand that the spot price in any of them, there's no real price discovery, okay? It's all fake, but this is real. And if you can take advantage of a fake price that's suppressed in order to get your hands on the actual physical, when they finally can't suppress it anymore, like for example, let me tell you, at the very beginning of 2024, so this year, silver was around that $33, and they kept pushing it down. I say they, the financial markets are run on options and contracts. That's what sets the prices in the in the paper markets, and that's the price that you have to pay on the physical. It's based on that. But they were shorting silver, trying to keep it down, and I was aware that it was jumping all the way up to $1.50 higher, and then they were pushing it down. They're trying to keep it in the 33s. They've subsequently lost that. I believe they were trying to cover their shorts, and now it's just gone long. They've let it go because they could not suppress it any longer, and away it's gone. It's gone from $33 to $42 something today, Australian dollar terms, in months, just a couple of months. All right, and the all-time high in silver is $45 something Australian. So where we're headed from here, I don't know. Whether we have a really sharp pullback, I'm not sure. But all I'm talking about, this is a long-term strategy to become your own central bank. It's something I've been doing for over a decade, and if you're only just going to start now, I still believe it's a good thing to do. Okay? And it sends a message, a very important one. And I believe that this is something to piggyback off of what you've already achieved. I believe that it would be a big movement, okay? And it will benefit you long term, and it will show the big boys you're awake. You're waking up. They can't fool you forever, okay? And have the conversation with your partners, with your friends, with your kids, especially your kids. Educate them. Get them awake to what's going on and what's been happening to them unbeknownst to them for so long. Anyway, this video has really kind of got long. I'm really apologizing for that. I'm hoping that this gets the go ahead, that I can share this link on Cash is King, and I'm hoping that you are able to watch it from there, because it'll just, I believe that it's something that really does address the questions that were asked there. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, God bless you and keep you safe, and please take care. Bye for now.